Okay, so we always ask 6 questions. Who are we targeting? What are we selling? When are we selling it? Where are we selling it? Why are we selling it? How are we selling it? And this is basically the core of majority of our online businesses, whether we sell products or services. So how are we going to use Google Analytics? So analytics, whether it was UA, which was the universal codes, or the GA4, which is the brand new codes, they're used to track information. So in the offline world, what happens is that you go to a magazine or a newspaper, or you go to a print company and you say, I want to advertise, and the print company will print you 4,000 flyers to advertise your business. You go to the newspaper and they put an ad in a newspaper or a magazine, but you can't track it. They can tell you what has happened, how much circulations they've had. They can tell you how many homes that flyers has been distributed to, but you can't track it unless someone calls and says, by the way, I heard about you through the magazine or the newspaper, or I saw your flyer. So that component of tracking and reporting is a big hit and miss when it comes to the offline marketing. But with the online marketing, we can track everything. We can track everything as far as who are our company's clients and target audience. We can track what events should we set up on our website, whether we want them to fill up a form, download a PDF, go through our shopping cart, get to the fill-in form, whatever that action, that event is, we can track that. And when should we measure microconversion? So microconversion could be something as simple as I want them to click on the submit button, or I want them to click on the call now button when they arrive to our website from, let's say, a mobile device. So when do we want to convert? When do we want to measure this? Is there a time period? Do we have a specific season that we sell the most? Is there a specific time period throughout the day that we advertise? So we want to correlate that advertising with that action that we want to measure on our website. Where do we need to customize our report? So this goes back to what are your key performance indicators, or also known as KPIs? Where are they? Are they in the process of going in through different events or pages on your website? Is it the coming from a particular acquisition, meaning if they're coming from, whether you've done an online advertising or you've done any sort of a social media post, where are they coming from? Why is integrating Google Ads to GA4 should be the first step? So a lot of companies use online advertising. So integrating these two, which is the Google Ads and the Google Analytics 4 together, it gives you a broader knowledge of how are your ads performing, and are they actually converting your customers, or are they maximizing the number of clicks that you're getting, and is that the ideal goal for your campaign? How should business to business marketers use GA4, and how should business to consumer marketers use GA4? So this, again, it's a really important aspect of your GA4, because if you're trying to convert businesses, but you've noticed that all of your ads are bringing more consumers, how is this going to affect your business, and vice versa? Okay, so to better understand your website traffic, you have the opportunity to use Google Analytics to optimize your marketing strategies. So here are 3 of the most powerful tools. So you can target advertising. So by kind of going through and finalizing the acquisition report, where are they coming from? Is this a user acquisition, or is it based on channel acquisition? Did I advertise on Facebook? Did I advertise on Instagram? Did I run an email campaign? Where did my advertising work the best? And what did I get at the end? What did that conversion look like? Do I care if they come to the first page and they went to the second page and then the third page, and that kind of correlates with your bounce rate? Did they come to the one page that I want them to come, read the information and left, didn't fill up a form, didn't download anything? What was my bounce rate like? If they come to my website, how was that user experience, and how do I improve that user experience? And that goes back to the behavior reports, when you kind of look back as, okay, they came to the first page from, let's say I was running a paid search. So they came to the first page, they stayed on that first page for 3 minutes, they read, they fill up the form, and then they went to the second page that is related to the first page and they read that. If it's a product e-commerce platform, did they go to the page that had my product information, they read it, they skimmed through every section, or did they read it in details? When they came into that page, did they put that item into the shopping cart? Did that shopping cart translate into a checkout? If it translated into a checkout, if it didn't translate into checkout, what was the bottleneck? And then informed content strategy is when you can track the performance of your website's content. And this is a very big component of your website, because what we do is we use our website to gather more data. We also use our website as our storefront. We put information about our products and services. So if the content on the website wasn't appealing enough, how do I track what happened? So you want to create a data-driven content, and you can look at that through your analytics. You can go back and say, well, I had my homepage, but my ads didn't direct traffic to the homepage. My ads directed traffic to this one particular product page. However, my homepage got the most amount of traffic because it had a much better content about who I am as a company, what we do as a company, and sort of services that we're offering. So creating a very robust report ongoingly about your website's performance impacts how you advertise. It impacts how users interact with your website. It impacts how much of the information on your website they're reading. On average, individuals have less than a 30 seconds attention span. So expecting them to come to your website and read a very heavily content written website is kind of unrealistic. So do we want to kind of comprise that content into something that provides that instant information where that person can make a decision? If it's an e-commerce platform, do we want this website to have the 3-click conversion, which means they come, see the product, put it in a cart, and check out? And if that's the case, are you hitting those goal points where you want them to read the content as fast as possible, buy the product, put it in the shopping cart as fast as possible, and then buying it? So you want to look at the number of users brought, how much they looked at the website, how often they stayed on the website, and what was their bounce rate, right? And what was the amount of time they spent, and where did they come from? Okay, so if you've already attached the GA4 to your website, and for most of you, you probably have, or if you had the universal code, you had to transfer that into the GA4, that piece is done. So one of the things you can do is you can look at the view user snapshot, and this kind of like gives you a bit of like a heat map of what's really going on. So how many people are coming from desktop, from mobile, and tablet? And this is important because if you're advertising, let's say a Google ad that has a phone number where you want them to call, this number should be much higher on the mobile versus desktop. So if you're getting a lot more people coming in from the desktop, this kind of tells you what's the bottleneck in your ads and how you're targeting these end users. If you're looking at the users by source, that explains to you, well, did they come directly to my website? Did they come from my Google search engine optimization? Did they come from a third-party link? Or did they come from a YouTube video that I have put in? And this kind of breaks down with what your marketing plan looks like. If you're planning to advertise on a certain platforms or have some sort of a organic search happening, whether it's through your videos and you put a lot of videos on your YouTube, you'll be able to see if that video campaign worked for you or not. And then the audience breakdown is actually quite important as well, because one of the good things about the GA4 is that it breaks down not just your users, but people that have added products into your shopping cart. If you've set up your retention and monetization properly and your conversions properly, it shows you your remarketing clients, people that have purchased from you, people that have added the products into the cart, but they haven't purchased. And again, this goes back to your remarketing, where you can actually see, okay, well, I had, 30 people in my, 30 people putting their products into the shopping cart, but they didn't purchase. Why didn't they purchase? Was it the price Was it shipping? Was it that they're shopping around? And if they're shopping around, do you want to set up a remarketing email through your website where you bring them back to the shopping cart so they can finalize their purchase? So this view, it gives you like a real time of what's really happening on your website. So, and I mean, you could have done that with UA as well, but this one is a lot more comprehensive. Another thing you can do is on the top where it says all users, you can actually add a comparison and you can see what this user looks like on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, on an annual basis, or compare it to the years before as well. Now, if you want to compare it to the years before, you must have had put in the GA4 from the previous years as well. You can't expect the GA4 to comprise the information from your UA analytics if you haven't done that setup properly, where all of the content from the UA was migrated into the GA4. So, lifecycle report. So this is called the lifecycle report. What this does, it kind of breaks down how do users enter your conversion funnels, how do they behave, where are they coming from, what's the demographic of these users, where do they go on your website, what that conversion looks like, what was their engagement like, was there any, if you set up your conversion codes properly, you can even see the monetization and, you know, what did each product sell look like for you on the analytics portion if you have an e-commerce platform. So it's very important that you set up your conversions properly. And I have another webinar coming up in 2024 that goes through how to set up these conversions accurately and how to set up your events properly. So when you set up the life cycle information on the back end, what it does is it takes about, so if you did finalize your GA4 setup back in June, your reports up until now, if you did set up all of your conversions properly and you did set up all of your reporting properly, it should have a very realistic number of what's really happening on your website by now. And if you have that, this life cycle is a very good tool for you to go in and change the time frame as to when you want to see this data. So if you want to see this data from yesterday or the last 7 days or the last 2 weeks or the last month, and then compare it to the month before, it would allow you to do that as well. Okay. I absolutely love the demographic information that it provides. What I really liked with the UA was that it gave us a lot more information, but this one looks a lot more aesthetically pleasing. And it does do a lot more details when it comes to e-commerce, where the UA didn't, unless if you had programmed every piece. But this one, it actually gives you a lot more information when it comes to your e-commerce. And this is a really a good tool for you to use for your marketing strategies as well. So if it's important to you, the age of the end user or their gender or the location they're coming from or the language, you can actually see all of that information on your GA4. If you're only advertising in Canada, you can see that you're getting a lot more traffic in United Kingdom. Maybe that is a bottleneck as far as your advertising is concerned, or it could be an actual business potential for you, because if they are looking for your products more in United Kingdom than Canada, maybe you can look at this as, well, how do I grow this and how do I make this work for me better? Another thing that I always track religiously is the age group. I try to stay away from 18 to 24s, depending on the type of the products and service my client sells, or I might actually add 18 to 24, again, depending on the type of products or services my clients sell. Mainly because the 18 to 24, for the most part, don't have a very strong buying power versus all the other age groups. However, when it comes to brand awareness, 18 to 24 are far more dominant and much more powerful. So I look at this age group and I compare it on a week-to-week or month-to-month basis for each of our clients. Male and female genders are really good as well, but they're adding more segment into this. And again, if your target audience of different genders, and that is an important part of your marketing, then this is a really important metrics to keep an eye on. Languages is important. We have a client who want to sell their products to multiple languages, so we advertise in multiple languages. And because we do that, we want to make sure that if we are advertising to Chinese, French, and Romanian, or Polish, or Russian, we can see that these individuals are seeing the ads as well. There's 3 categories when it comes to interest that are becoming a lot more popular, and this is very important for remarketing. So the first one is called affinity category. So these are the people who are labeled as part of a collective group. And these are the people that like to travel, play sports, or use their smartphones a lot. The next is called in-market segment, and these are the people that are actively in the market to buy something. So if you are advertising, let's say, for example, to individuals that want to buy clothes and fashion is important to them, the in-market segment is quite important to you because you want to segment these individuals that are into fashion, let's say for your holiday promotions that you have going on, or any sort of a particular campaigns that you have going. The other categories, this is more kind of in-depth look at the affinity category, and that kind of highlights people who might fly a lot or play a lot with video games, or who like to garden. And you can get these informations from the interest section of the GA4. Oh, there's a chat. Hold on. Recording and slides are in session available? Absolutely. Both are available. Okay, so let's look at, so if you look at the life cycle, the second piece is called engagement. And this is where we kind of break down who these users are. So there's 4 types of users. They're the active users that are continuously on your website. Then there's the total number of users. These are the people that have been to your website for that period of time. So if you look at the right here on the top right corner where it says last 28 days, you can custom this date to a particular date frame, and you can see what were your total users for whether your entire website or a specific page that you're looking at. And then new users are people that are brand new to the website and they don't know much about your website, and we have returning users. I look at the returning users as more of a gold mine, because these are the people that you can remarket to. And if you're doing any sort of an advertising, you can pick all of your returning users, and by integrating your Google Ads to your Google GA4, you'll be able to get that information and remarket to them. Average engagement time is the time an active user has been on your website, and it kind of focuses on your app in the foreground. User in the last 30 minutes are for real-time users activity broken down by page. The next one is user stickiness, and this is to compare an active user engagement in a narrow window with a border one. So it's the ratio of the daily active users to the monthly active users. And why is that important? Well, because if they've been to the website and they engaged with different pages and the average engagement time was over a minute, and we know that end users on average spend less than 30 seconds on the website, this kind of gives you a window that, okay, well, this particular page that I have is a good page on my website, so I want to add more relevant content to this one particular page. And then user activity over time is to chart the number of active users over the last 30 days, 7 days, or 1 day. And you can get all that information from the engagement. Again, you have to have set these up when you set up your GA4. And if you haven't, you can go to the admin and then go under properties and look at how you're tracking this information. So where to find the GA4 acquisition? So the first one that I showed you was engagement. The next one is acquisition. So I know the look, so you're probably thinking, well, why didn't we talk about acquisition first and engagement? Well, always users are far more important than who they, so it's important to us who they are and then when they came from, where they came from. In the UA, you were able to see when you did acquisition, it will break it down and say, here's your traffic acquisition. And then when you went in there, it broke it down with how many users came from each one of these sections. But in the GA4, there's two different types. So one, we have the user acquisition, and the first campaign, source, and medium observed by users. So this is people, it's an acquisition based on users. And then the next one is the traffic acquisition. And this is the campaign, source, and medium of the session. And this will be most similar to the one that you used to use on Universal. So using this piece, in the past, it would break it down and say this, it would say organic, and then it would say direct, and then referral, and then it would say social, and then it will break down paid. Here, it groups it all together. So that's why I have this second screenshot. So if you look here, what they've done is they've grouped it together. So if you want to see where your source medium is, which means let's say if you had a paid ad and that paid ad was on Google or Bing, you go look at the source or the medium to see which one performed better. If you had ads running on social, let's say Instagram and Facebook, again, for this paid social, you have to look at whether it's session or source, and then it will again break it down for you which one worked best for you. So in the past, it was separated, and now they've grouped it together. And this is, so if you look at this as a whole, the first thing you will see is the first user default channel grouping. You can break this down and say, well, I don't want just the first users. I want new users and returning users, and I care where my returning users have come from. So you can change that if you click on this plus here, or go to this little button beside grouping and click on that. It will tell you which one you want to get in and what's important to you. Two major metrics that you should follow here is average engagement time. And the second one is engagement session. Average engagement time is important because if this is less than 30, there is a problem with what's happening with this particular source, the traffic acquisition. And if this is a problem, then you want to figure it out and how to fix it. Direct, having it at like 57 seconds, that's a really good thing. That means they knew who you are. They directly put your company information in there, your URL in there. They got to your site and they read what they were looking for. Referral breaks it down based on your social posts and other links that brought traffic back to your website. So this is where it's important for you to have backlinks to other websites that are relevant to the products and services that you sell, so that can bring traffic, good, relevant traffic back to your website. And look at the graph often. Make sure that if there's a spike, take a look at that spike and kind of figure out what happened at that time that you got that spike. So if there was a spike in your new users on, let's say, the 15th of November, did you put out a newsletter? Did you run an ad? Did you put a really good post? And if you did, that worked. So keep track of these, because this, again, makes a difference in your marketing strategy. Because if you did run an email campaign and you got a big spike, you should do that again. And the other part is that if you didn't have any movement on your website for a few days, you also want to go look at that as well and kind of figure out what happened that day. Was it because it was on the weekend and nobody was shopping or looking for this type of service? Or is there an issue with the website? Because usually if there's an issue with the website, your analytics is the number one place that it tells you, well, on this day, there was a flat line. So what happened on that day? Okay, so content drill down. This is so important because this goes back to your storefront. If your website is your storefront and you're putting a lot of information about the services or the products you provide, you want to make sure that every page on that website is getting the number of hits and the views and everything that it needs in there. So if you have a service page and you notice that there's, time on page on that service page is 0 or less than 10 seconds, you want to go back and look at, well, what did I do wrong on this page and why is it not appealing enough for them to read about it? because there's a flow of traffic when it comes to your website. And the flow always starts with, if you're running an ad, that ad goes to a specific page. If you're not running an ad, then they found you organically. They usually go onto the homepage. If everything about your business is in the homepage, fantastic. They don't need to go to any other pages. But if it isn't, then they're going to go to the service page. They're going to go to the blog page. They're going to go to About Us page. And if they are ending up on the service page and that service page is not giving you enough data, then they don't spend a lot of time on it. So if it's less than 10 seconds and your bounce rate is at 100%, there's a bottleneck right there. So you want to fix what the problems are. Most pages that get the most amount of traffic are usually home pages, contact us pages, service, and About Us. Blogs are fantastic pages, but what we want to do is we want to use that blog to redirect traffic, to redirect this organic search engines. We want to redirect search engines to organically bring traffic to us. Sorry, I was just thinking so much, too many different things in my head, so it couldn't come out properly. You also want to see what was the landing page they landed on and what was that exit page, what was their exit page. Why does that matter? Is because you want to build the flow. You want to see how they're coming to your website and where they're leaving. So if the exit page is always the About Us page, but not the content page, contact us page, maybe we want to change the flow of the website where they land. Their exit page is the contact us page. So looking at the content drill down is an overview of which pages of your website is visited the most. It's so important. I don't want you to get discouraged to adding blogs, because blogs are what organically bring you a lot of traffic. So you want to make sure that you have a fair amount of blogs on your website, but track your blogs. Sometimes some of the blogs get more traffic than even the service page. And if that is the case, maybe you want to add extra links on the bottom of your website that leads them back to the service page if that's the case. So the behavior section gives you more information about how they're going through your website. I talked about this earlier about integrating your ads with your GA4. We make every decision based on how people have interacted with our ads, and ads are expensive. So when you run an ad, you want to make sure that that ad is working. So when you run an ad, you want to make sure that there are certain dimensions that you're tracking. So here are some of the dimensions that are offered by Google Analytics that I highly recommend you click and add into your reporting so you can see. So whether your Google Ads name, account name, or the group ID or the group name, and network, campaigns, customer IDs, keyword text, ad queries, and then first user Google Ads account names, and then first user Google Ads, every single bit of that information, if you can check all the attributes and all the traffic source and add that into your reporting so you can see under that segment everything that happens from the ad perspective. So once you integrate this allows you to see three things. So number one is where your site ranks in the search results. It allows you to see which queries generate more clicks or conversion. I highly recommend adding conversions, because the good thing about the GA4 is that it allows you to track conversion. And that conversion makes a huge difference in your sales, whether it's a service or a product. And then how does those clicks translate into a user behavior? So which landing page did they land on? How long did they stay on that? How many other pages they went to? How many other users they went in and they converted into a users? So integrate them, and the integration of these two are quite important. The other piece you can integrate into this is your search console. So if you have a search console set up, it's vital that you add this together. Now let's look at the conversions. So, and events, sorry. So most events show your contribution to the bottom line are collected automatically when you set up your GA4. So this is where it says, well, page views is added automatically, time on page is added automatically, event count is added automatically. But there's 7 of them that automatically collect events that SEOs may want to enable for enhanced measurement. So this is an addition, and you should check them to have it added. So number one is the file download. So if you have any particular files, you want to have this feature where if there's an event where someone clicks on it and downloads, that you can track that. Form start, this is when they first interacts with that form, you know, and then the form submit. So if there's a button that submit, and if your site is done properly, whether it's through WordPress, Shopify, Magento, Joomla, you can track the submit button, or HTML5. You can submit the form submit button can be tracked as well. Scrolls, that's a big deal, especially if it's a mobile, if they're interacting with your site on a mobile. So every time their thumb goes up and down, that's considered a scroll. So you kind of want to measure that and see how often do they make it to below the fold and read more information that's at the bottom of your page. If you have any videos on your website, you want to see the start. You can track when the video is started, and you can also track the video progression. This also applies to your ads as well. So you can see the video progression past 10%, 20%, 25%, 50%, and 75%. So if you have a video that's longer than 30 seconds, this is very important, because if you're explaining your products and services in more than a minute, they'll be able to see, you'll be able to see how much of that information did they watch. Did they watch 10%, 25, 50, 75? And then video completion is another metric that you can set up as an event, where you can see, okay, they watched the whole video, and then what happened? Did they watch the whole video, and then did they click on the contact us? That video completion could be vital to your business. So if you go to the conversion, so when you set up your admin, and then there's conversions, there are a bunch of micro conversions that I highly recommend that you add in there. So you can set up a new conversion event, and if you are, if you do certain, if you're in a business that you do need to, if you care, if they scroll to 90% of the blog post, or play at least 50% of the video, or complete a tutorial, or download a white paper, or complete a registration form, register for a service, or add a merchandise to their shopping cart, add these as micro conversions. So you can create a micro conversion, or sorry, a new conversion, and add as an event. So when that is completed, you can set it up where they can track it. So in most cases, the process is easy. As you go to the admin, click on the event, and then you select on toggle under the mark as conversion, and then you can set all of these as micro conversions. So you can, macro or micro conversions. So you can see what are your big conversions and what are the small ones. Do we care if they went to the blog post? Yes. But do we care if they went through 90% of the blog post? If that's what we care about, we want to mark that as a new conversion as well. So more conversion you set up on your website, better it is for you. But then you also want to be very specific with what that conversion means in your bottom line when it comes to your marketing strategy. If your bottom line is that I want them to complete this tutorial and then ask for the book to be purchased at the end, that's a micro, the macro is the purchase, but the micro is completing that tutorial. So you want to set that up so you can see how many people go through this journey on your website, and what their journey and the user journey experience looks like, and what do they do with it. So let's say 10% of the people who sign up for a newsletter go on to become a customer, and your average transactions is $500. Then you might associate $50, which is the 10% of the 500, as a monetary value of the newsletter sign up. This is again another micro or macro conversion depending on the scale of your business. So how do we do that? We go to the admin, we click on events, we create a new event to see the table of custom events. So you can create multiple events. So we can name this one register. So you can click on event to modify. In the parameter configuration section, add click modification, and then there in the parameter field, enter the currency. So if you are collecting that 500, for that 10%, you add in that value in there. and then you add the modification, and then in the parameter field, you enter the value. Now, in the new value field, you enter the value, which is the 50 for the $50, because you already picked the conversion, and then you click save. Why do we want to do that? Well, because we want to see what do we get when, at the end, how do we measure? We want to see what do we get when this event is completed, and then measured in dollar amount. Because that dollar amount, again, will make a difference in your marketing budget at the end. Because if you see that, every transaction you made 500, and then, you put 10% who have signed up for that newsletter, that makes a difference with what am I going to be spending for the upcoming months. One of the other good things about this GA4 is that it allows you to create reports. So if you go under Explore, it allows you to create custom reports. And this report collection, it could be, you can do one report that has everything, or you can do multiple reports. So the first default set of the reports you might see in the lifecycle collection, which helps you understand each stage in your customer journey, from acquisition to engagement to monetization to retention, can also be added in there. So in the past, even now, we use Looker Studio to create custom reports. And then we build and connect the Google Ads and Google Analytics and Console and Facebook and Instagram into one platform. But if you don't know how to do that, and that's fine, you can use this platform. So there's so much you can do here. So you can segment your users. So on the first piece, you can say, I want specific date frame. So I'm going to segment based on specific date frame. So I'm going to pick January 4th to February 2nd. And then I'm going to pick the segment. I want everybody that came from US. I care about direct traffic, paid traffic, mobile traffic, tablet traffic. And then I'm going to pick the dimensions that I want. So do I care about the name of the event? These are the events that we set up here, right? So event names. Do I care about that? Yes, I'm going to put that in there. I'm going to put different, I care about genders, countries, and device categories, because I'm running ads, let's say on Google, for mobile ads. So I care if a lot more people are coming from mobile. And then the second tab, you can say, I want it to be visually in like a graph format like this, or a pie, or I want it to be in a chart. And then you can pick and choose any of these segments and drop them in here. So let's say if I pick the segment city from here and push it here, this is what the report would look like. And I explained here how to do that. So you can change the primary dimensions, and you can add a secondary. So let's say if I put city and I want to do area codes, I can add that in there. Or I can put cities and I want to put genders, I can add that in there. And then it will break it down. Or I will do cities, and then I want to say, okay, no, I want devices. Show me active users from desktop, mobile, tablet, and then what was their total. Kind of broke it down here. So how to read this Analysis Hub report. So this is that report that I was just telling you 2 seconds ago, where you just grab one and you bring it in and you build it. So let's talk about how do we read it. So if you want to go back, you click on number 1, and then it takes you to the analytics as a whole. The variable table number 2 is where you will select the data you want to use in your analysis. So this data range could be anything from date range to segments to dimensions and metrics. Then the tab settings, this is right here, is where you will specify the analysis technique. So you want to add a dimension, and then you want to add a metrics, and then you want to apply that segment, just like how we did here in this area. Segments are up here. This could be based on country, acquisition. It could be based on where the traffic is coming from. And you can pick and choose which one you like. So you can drag and drop them into this area. So dimensions are things that you want to analyze. So whether it's a page view or event count, active users, transactions, again, drag and drop. Metrics are provided, they provide the numbers in your analysis. So add metrics to the value area in the tab. So that's right here. So I want to see active users. I just pull and drop right here in the tab settings, and then it will show me what it looks like. Visualization, as I said, you can say I want it to be in a pie format, in a chart format. I want it to have a globe and they can see what's happening. And value, drag the metrics that you want to display in the columns in the report. And then the cell type can be displayed as a bar, chart, plain text, or heat map. Heat maps are great for locations. So if you have a lot of clients coming from all around Canada or US, you can pick and choose where the traffic is coming from. And then tabs display your visualization, and analysis can contain up to 10 tabs. So you can have as many tabs as you want in here. And display interacts with the data by right-clicking a data point in the visualization. So if you right-click on this, it tells you what's happening here. Okay. Any questions? Wow. Okay. I'm glad that it went well. Feel free to message me if you have any questions. I'm going to send you guys the recording along with the presentation. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask. That's a lot to process. I know, Keith, I do that a lot. What about, wait, David, I can't read this. Hold on. Hold on, David. What about what? Okay, so you didn't answer that. Okay, I'm gonna send you guys the presentation. I'll send you everything. What about site setup to comply with analytic constraint after the site is published? So I know your case and yours was set up, but if you want, let's take this offline and I can take a look again, but I'm pretty sure yours was set up properly and you have all the metrics. But if it doesn't, we can go back and look at it again, because I think we did look at that, but I'll look at it again and we can have a conversation offline. All right. Thank you everyone for your time, and let me know if you have any questions. Okay, sorry to be specific on my case. Yeah, no, don't worry. Okay, bye guys.